Hey, hello everyone, this is Alex, and I have been thinking about making this video for a while being today, because I just got my iRig Stomp EO from IK Multimedia, and I have been working on it, working the kinks out of it. I already gigged with it. It's a really nice product, it's a very powerful product, but there's one problem. It doesn't really work well with Reaper. And I use Reaper for everything. I love the software. I have been using it since version 3. We are in version 6 already, so I have been using it for almost 10 years. And one of my main uses for Reaper is when I use it along with Amplitube 5 and OBS to stream Rocksmith and, just do music streams in general. But the problem is that the iRig Stomp IO doesn't really work well with Reaper, as I said. So after working some kinks out and seeing some people that had some problems also using either the iRig Stomp with Reaper or in a system that already has a audio interface, which is also my case. I use a Focusrite Scarlett 212, the first generation, so this one is an Asian one already. So I was thinking about doing this video to maybe help some people who are having problems in setting up their setup in Reaper using Amplitube 5 and the iRig Stomp EO. So let's go. I'm going to try to be as in-depth as possible, from really basic stuff to creating presets on Reaper and how they work until more advanced stuff. But I'm going to give a disclaimer and structure the video in a way that if it comes a section in which I'm going to be talking about something that you might have already been using or seeing, then you can just jump to the next section. Also, this is not a one-to-one replication on how the iRig Stomp works with Amplitube in standalone mode. It's going to be close to that, but not a one-to-one replication, And it's also a setup that requires a little bit of getting used to. I have been using, this system for a couple of years, so, I'm biased on it, but I think it works very well and it is worth it to try it at least. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to plug my unit on my computer through the USB port and nothing else. I'm not going to plug my guitar into the iRig Stomp unit. Is going to be, as usual, to my Scarlett 212 and then to Reaper. I'm just going to be using the iRig Stomp as a MIDI controller interface and nothing but that. All of the audio is still going to be handled by my 212. And it is better to plug your unit in your computer even before booting Reaper, because when you boot Reaper and your unit is already connected to your computer, it is already going to recognize it as a MIDI interface. So I'm here on my desktop, and something that can happen when you plug in your unit to your computer is that it might try to become the main audio interface on your computer, substituting your normal audio interface one. If that happens, so if you plug your iRig unit into your computer and the sound just disappears, it's probably because of that happened. So the only thing that you need to do is go here, down here on the lower right section, on the speakers, click on it, and you see here is your volume, and there's a drop down, and see, we have the speakers, the Focusrite, my NVIDIA high definition, which is probably my monitor, and then the iRig Stomp. So if you open this drop-down menu and see that the iRig Stomp is the playback device selected, just get back to your usual one, to your default one, and that's probably going to settle that. So now I just open Reaper, and we're here, and this is a session that I use to stream Rocksmith, but I'm going to open a new one and going from the beginning. What we're going to do is that you're going to go here in this upper right corner, click here, or go to Ctrl P, which opens the Reaper preferences, and you're going to go here in the left side on MIDI devices. And you're going to see all of your MIDI devices on your computer. So you see this iRig Stomp IO control and iRig Stomp IO MIDI in 0. Go to both of them click with the right click on your mouse and configure input. And make sure that you have ticked this option of enable input for control messages. And that's only that. Usually it's unticked, tick, leave it selected, and that's okay. And do this on both of these channels. So this next section is going to be about creating presets on Reaper and making sure that they are in an order that they can be assessed. So if you already know how to do that, feel free to go to the next section of this video. So I'm going to open a track template of Guitar AT5, which is my guitar Amplitube in the Amplitube 5 plugin. And here it is. The first thing that we're going to do is to open Amplitube 5. That is my second plugin here. So here on Amplitube 5, you can do everything that you do and create a plugin inside of and create a preset, inside of Amplitube. And this is going to be saved to the IK Multimedia, to the Amplitube 5 folder in your documents folder in your computer. But when we create a preset for a VST on Reaper, it behaves in a different way. It creates a snapshot of that moment in the VST, and that it just pretty much recreate whatever way you left your VST. So here I have all of my presets. What you do to create a preset on Reaper is you do everything that you need to do. Then you go here on this plus sign and save preset. And then it's going to ask you for a name of the preset and just play OK. So what you're going to do is to create your presets of all of your tones that you already use on Amplitube. So if you already have your clean tone, your rhythm tone, and your lead tone on Amplitube, inside of Amplitube, just load them and save each of them as a different preset inside of Reaper. Also, something important is that I would advise you to save your presets in the same order that you use inside Amplitube. So let's say that you have your clean, and then your rhythm tone, and then your lead tone. First, save your clean tone, load your clean tone inside of Amplitube, save it on a Reaper preset, load your rhythm tone inside of Amplitube 5, save it as a preset on Reaper, and then open up, load your lead tone and save it as a preset on Reaper. But what if I did that in the wrong order? I started with the crunch and then cling and then rhythm. Do I have to delete the presets on Reaper? No, you don't need to. You can just go here in the drop-down menu of the presets, of the VST presets on Reaper. So here I have my cling, crunch, solo, pushed, which are my 4 main tones. But let's say that I want my crunch before my cling. So I just load crunch here, and then I go again on the plus sign, and then I go in this move up option. And then here you're going to see crunch, cling. Then my crunch is before my cling. And same thing, can just move down, because doing that moves that preset in Reaper up or down in the list of the presets on Reaper, which are saved in another part of your computer. Something also important to add is that the way that presets on Reaper works, the plugin presets, they work kind of like a snapshot on how the VST looks at that time. So let's see if you load your rhythm tone. As an example here, I have some pedals, 2 amplifier, 2 heads, and 2 cabinets. But I think I'm not only going to need 1 cabinet, and I don't want this phaser. I don't want this chorus too, And let's say that I save it here on inside of Amplitube as my crunch sound with the same name. Once I load the preset, the crunch preset on Reaper, is going to load the preset as it was the last time I saved here not that I saved here. And the other way around, let's say if I change this and I save it here, you know, on the save preset, on Reaper, on a Reaper preset, if I select the same preset again on Amplitube, it's going to load back in the last time that you actually saved this preset inside of Amplitube. So be aware of that. If you change anything in your signal chain and you save it on Amplitube, be sure to also save, to come here on the plus sign and resave your preset. Okay, so we're finished on the part of presets. As I said, remember to save them in order, because every time that you save a new preset on a VST on Reaper, it goes down a notch from the last one you saved. So if you save 1 and then 2 and then 3, they always go down in the list. And now we are going to use something inside of Reaper that are custom actions. What does that do is that it gives you a very extensive list of very specific actions for you to do on Reaper that can be bound to a specific key in a keyboard or a switch in a MIDI controller, anything of that, which is very useful. Also, for this part, you're going to need a Reaper extension called SWS that I'm going to put in the link in the description. So you just download that, install it, and the next time you boot Reaper, it is good to go. So here on Reaper, what we're going to do is going on Actions and Show Action List. And here on the filter of the actions, we might need to type next effects. So we come here and see SWS S&M. Trigger next preset for effects of selected tracks. And you can see effects 1, effects 2, effects 3, and effects 4. In this case here, some context is needed for what I do inside of Amplitube. So usually what I do is that I have a noise gate, which is the REA gate, first, because I play heavy metal, I play a lot of distorted sounds, and I don't like to use any of the noise gates inside of Amplitube. I think that the REA gate is just very responsive, it works really well, and I love it. But to Reaper, this is my effects 1, this is my effects 2, and this is my effects 3, exactly how they are displayed here in your plugin chain. So what you're going to see is that if you use Amplitube and nothing before it, you know, just like it is like this. So Amplitube is the first one. You might want to use this option, trigger next preset of effects 1 of selected tracks. In my case, I'm going to use trigger next preset of effects 2 of selected tracks, because my first effects is REA gate. And here, you can just hover on it and click on it, and then here, shortcuts for selected action. And you can go on Add. It's going to give you this little window. So here I have my iRig Stomp set up, and you know it's up and running, and I'm going to put it to make it smaller and put it here. And as I said, so here on the shortcut, anything that you type here is going to be bound to the shortcut. So N, R, or T, Y, anything that you type in is going to change to that. In this case, I'm going to use my second switch, my switch 2, in preset mode. So MIDI channel 1, PC1. Okay. And you can add other ones. I also use O, but that's pretty much it. So now every time that you press this switch on an iRig, is going to trigger this action. It's going to trigger the next preset for effects to selected tracks. Emphasis on selected tracks. I'm going to talk about this later. So now we're going to go here in the filter and go previous. So here, trigger previous preset for effects to selected tracks. Same thing. Also remember that I'm using trigger previous preset for effects 2 because Amplitube is the second effect in my plugin chain. But if you don't use anything before Amplitube here on the signal chain, use the effects one, this option. Same thing. So let me delete this one, add, and then I'm going to use this one. So this one is going to be my next preset, and this one is going to be my first switch is going to be my previous preset. So I'm going to, and that's pretty much it. So now if we open Amplitube, so let's start with the clean. I put the iRig Stomp camera here on the top left so you guys can have a better view on Amplitube. So here you can see clean. This is my clean channel, all of my my heads, my cabs, my pedals. And if I press this switch, which remember is the next, it triggers the next inline, my next preset here in this list inline. It triggers my crunch as intended. And if I press it again, it goes to my solo. See the list? Clean, and then crunch, and then solo. So it's going in this direction. So, and if I press this one, which is the previous, we go back to crunch, just as intended. And that is how it works. As simple as that, in a nutshell. But let's say that you want to also trigger, some specific pedals inside of the presets. How can I do that? And is that going to mess up with my switches that I have already bound on Reaper? And the answer is no. So remember that I said that we are in preset mode here. So if we go and press 3 and 4 at the same time for 1 second, we got into stomp mode. But first of all, we need to do something else. We need to create a new track that's going to be our MIDI. Let me rename that. And on this option here, on the input, let's going to go with MIDI and all MIDI inputs, all channels. And then let's arm it. And then we press on this part of the track, which is the routing and sends and returns. And we create a send. And it's going to give us a drop down. If we had more tracks, it was going to give us all of the tracks with their names. So let's send this to track 1, guitar. And now everything that is done MIDI-wise with our controller on this track is going to be routed to this track. So now we can go to our control change, preset, and then we can add all of the parameters on this preset that we want. So let's go. So let's add. So stomp 1, A1, slot 2 chorus, bypass. Then let's click on it and learn. And then it's going to wait for the MIDI. And then, ba-bam, we have CC20. Let's add another one. So let's add a bypass to the phaser. Same thing. Click on it, learn, and then let's put it on switch 2. Amazing. And then let's add another one, stomp A1, the band graphic, bypass. Click on it, learn, and then it's going to be on our third switch. And then, okay. Also, if you want to use the expression pedal in the iRig in anything inside of Amplitube on this system, you can just bring your pedal. In this case, I have a Warminator, a whammy here. You just right click on the pedal, assign MIDI, pedal, learn pedal, and then, yeah, and see, now it moves. Moves along with the iRig. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That is how it works. Well, so now let's test it. So let's see. Let me go on this first one that should be the chorus. So let's press on it. Yeah, and it lights up here. It lights up. The light on the pedal lights up. Let's go on the phaser. Yep. Let's go on the equalizer. Yep, works as intended. So now we are back at preset mode. So we just again press 3 and 4 together for more than 1 second. Then we got back and it still works as intended. One nice touch that I added myself to my rig is this option. So as I said, I use a noise gate before Amplitube 5. That's why Amplitube 5 is listed on my system, on my version of this system, as FX2, is because my REA gate, my noise gate, is listed as the FX1. But, one thing that I wanted to add and be able to do is to toggle on and off my noise gate, because I don't like to use any of the noise gates inside of Amplitube 5. I don't think that they work, in the way that I would like inside of Reaper. So again, we use a action here. So let's find a shortcut. So in this case, I'm using this toggle FX1 bypass for selected tracks. So every time that I press my third switch, my switch 3, yeah, my noise gate gets toggled on and off. And you can do that for anything. So if you have a plugin on Reaper that you want to be able to use a MIDI controller to toggle on and off, you can just use an option and voila, that's it. Another important thing that I might add, remember when we saw in the actions, trigger next or previous preset for the effects number, whatever, of selected tracks. That's something very important. So everything that we put in the actions, we set up and we bound the specific actions to our iRig. They're only going to work if the track that we want them to work is highlighted or selected. In this case, my guitar track is selected. So if I open Amplitube and just press here, we are in solo. So if I press the previous one, it should go back to crunch. Yes, and again, if I press this again, it should go back to clean. Yes. But if we highlight any other track, these inputs will not work anymore, the action-specific input. So let's highlight MIDI, and let's go in the next preset. Yeah, nothing works. I can press it again. It doesn't work anymore. So we have to have this track highlighted and selected. So let's try to go forwards again. Yeah, and it goes to crunch. And again, it's gonna go to solo. And by the way, it doesn't matter if you have let's say a browser window open or anything else open, and you are using that window. As long as in Reaper, the guitar track is highlighted and selected, everything is gonna work out as intended. Also, by the way, if you're asking yourself how quick the presets change, it's pretty much automatic. I have my guitar here, and I am pretty sure that I'm in my solo patch. Yeah, so let's press the first switch, then it goes to my rhythm, and let's go to the clean. It's instantaneous. What can happen is if you have Amplitube 5, the window open, it takes a little bit it kind of has a little bit of a delay to get to the other, to the next preset. So we're here in clean. Let's go to the crunch. You hear that? You hear how it stops and then it engages? That happens because now that you have your the GUI of Amplitube open, now every time that you change a preset, Amplitube has to reload all of the visual assets in place, because as I said, the presets here on Reaper, they work in that kind of snapshot system. So it has to, put everything in place, load all of the visual assets, and that's why it might wait a little bit. But if the Amplitube window is closed, automatic. So that's pretty much it, how it works. I love how this works. I think once you get a hang of it, it is not that difficult, but it has two clear setbacks. The first one of them is that you cannot really guide yourself visually with the iRig, your pedal board, because sometimes, especially on stomp mode, you might have the red light engaged, which means that the pedal is active. On Amplitube, on instead of Reaper, the pedal is actually, off. And then you press it and the red light is off, which would mean that on standalone mode would be off, and then it engages it inside of Reaper. So that's the first con of this. And the second one is that, let's say you have 10 different presets. You have preset 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the way to the 10. On Amplitube standalone, because we have the banks 1 to 4, and then 5 to 8, and then 9 to 12, you can just go up the banks and without changing any presets, and theoretically go from preset 1 to preset 10 as they were alongside each other. And that's something that is not possible with the way that we just set up Amplitube on Reaper. If you have to go from preset 1 to preset 10, you have to go all the way, you have to press your next preset switch 10 times until you get to the preset 10. There's no way to get into like 1 to 10 or 1 to 8, at will. So that's I think it's kind of a con too. But for people that have like 2, 3, 4 tones, I think it works really well. You don't have to be like stepping a lot to get to point A to point B, and it just works. So that's going to be it. I really hope that this video helped you in any way, shape, or form, or maybe if this is not something that you're looking for, this type of system, then maybe, I hope it gave you an idea on how something like that can work inside of another DAW. I love stuff from IK Multimedia. I use their stuff every day, like Amplitube, Syntronic, Sample Tank. I love their product. I'm never going to stop using their products as long as they have the same degree of quality that they are. But it pains me a little bit to see that they don't have any incentive, as it seems, to really work the kinks out of their units to really work on, Windows and specifically on Reaper. But, well, kind of it is what it is. As I said, this is not a one-to-one reproduction on how this unit works with Amplitube in standalone mode. It is a workaround, but, if it helps you, I'm glad. And that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much, and until next time. Bye!